the over-explainer. You just casually ask a simple question. Where is this report file saved? Instead of giving a brief answer like, Drive D. They pull up a chair and start recounting how the company's computer system has been structured since 2018, the standard file naming protocol, and why saving to Drive C is risky. By the time they finish presenting, you've completely forgotten what you originally asked. This person doesn't have bad intentions. They genuinely believe that the more detailed the information, the easier it is for the listener to understand and feel reassured. But for you, it feels like being trapped in a verbal maze with no way out when you're busy. If the person across from you is frequently sighing, sneaking glances at their watch, or constantly nodding to speed up the pace while you're explaining, watch out. You're talking way too much. 2. The silence filler. You and an acquaintance step into an elevator, and the moment a natural silence falls, boom, they immediately speak up. They might comment on the weather, the newly replaced carpet, or absolutely anything meaningless as long as it's not silence. This type of person often shows up on shared rides or during the natural pauses of a conversation. To them, silence is a terrifying obsession that triggers panic. However, they don't understand that, for the other person, brief moments of silence are sometimes a much-needed remedy to let the mind rest. If you hastily blurt out trivial comments just to cure the awkwardness, whenever the atmosphere settles, you are a certified silence filler. 3. The story repeater. You've already heard the story about their strict ex-boss. Once, twice, maybe countless times until you've memorized every single detail. But strangely, every time you meet, they retell it with the exact same glowing eyes and excitement as the very first time they shared it. Maybe they truly forgot they told it, or maybe they are just addicted to reliving the spotlight of that moment. The misery, however, is that all the pressure falls on the listener's shoulders. You have to force a fake, surprised smile so you don't ruin their mood. If you notice your friend's smiles suddenly becoming forced as they gently say, "Yeah, you told us about that the other day," you know it's time to update your story inventory. 4. The topic drifter. The conversation starts at point A about work, but just 5 minutes later, it has drifted all the way to point Z about some random neighbor's back pain. They constantly swerve, jumping from one topic to another, based on spontaneous associations, before ever wrapping up any core issue. As a result, the listener is left with a fractured mess of information, wasting immense energy, desperately trying to untangle and piece it all together. If you frequently find yourself talking and having to suddenly pause to ask, "Wait, what were we originally talking about again?" then congratulations, you are an infamous topic drifter. 5. The interrupter. You are passionately telling a story about a disastrous trip reaching the most thrilling part, and smack, they ruthlessly cut in to talk about their own trip. Not just once, but continuously. Maybe a brilliant idea popped into their head, and they need to share it instantly, or maybe their listening patience is simply zero. But for you, the feeling of having your emotional flow chopped to pieces is incredibly frustrating and disappointing. Gradually, you build an invisible wall and no longer feel like opening up when they are around. Do you have a habit of leaning forward, reading minds, and finishing sentences for others? If so, you need to learn how to hit your own pause button. 6. The detail overloader. A simple event like being late due to traffic should only take exactly 2 minutes to tell. But through their mouth, it turns into a long-running TV series. They cram in countless irrelevant details that have zero impact on the main plot, like what color shirt they were wearing, the exact hour and minute they stepped out of the house, or what color bag the person on the scooter ahead of them was carrying. They think doing this makes the story vividly authentic, but the listener just feels their brain overloading, getting sleepy, and completely losing the main focus. If the question you get asked the most is, So what's the bottom line? It's time you learned how to prune your stories. 7. The conversation hijacker. You just reached out to them to confide, "My puppy got sick today. I'm so sad." A split second later they reply, "Oh, that's nothing. Back when my cat passed away, I cried for a whole week." And boom, your story has been officially hijacked. They masterfully use every topic and every emotion of yours as a springboard to pivot to their own personal experiences, crowning themselves as the more pitiful or more heroic main character. Facing them, you always walk away feeling completely misunderstood. Is your catchphrase, "That's nothing compared to me back then, I"? If true, be careful, or you might be hijacking the stage on someone else's emotions. 8. The room ignorer. The party is over, and the atmosphere has gone cold. People start sneaking glances at their watches, slinging their backpacks over their shoulders, or scrolling on their phones, only responding with half-hearted uh-huhs. But them, they are still blocking the doorway passionately, giving a speech as if they're standing on a grand stage. This type of person is completely disconnected from body language and crowd reactions. Pushing everyone into a dilemma, standing there listening, feels like physical torture, but interrupting to leave feels like being rude. If you rarely observe the eye contact of the person you're talking to, there's a high chance you're giving a monologue without even knowing it. 9. The group dominator. In a group meeting or a hangout, their sound waves overpower absolutely everyone. They ask the questions, answer them, open the topics, debate themselves, and finalize the conclusions. The people around them gradually sink into silence, turning into nodding plaster statues. Not because they've run out of words or lack ideas, but because they can't find even a 0.5-second gap to squeeze in. The collective conversation quickly devolves into an exclusive solo presentation. After every gathering, if you're consistently the thirstiest person, have the sorest throat, and feel like you carried the whole conversation, it's highly likely you've been hogging the group's entire bandwidth. 10. The non-stop talker. This is the final boss, the ultimate realm of exhaustion. You randomly bump into them at the supermarket, and right after you say, "Hi," they unleash a barrage of words from the rising cost of groceries to their neighbors' arguments. They talk from start to finish with almost no pause to breathe or swallow. The problem isn't that their content is too fascinating, but that their linguistic brakes are completely broken. The listener is not only exhausted, but also gets dizzy ears ringing, wanting to instantly fake a phone call to escape the conversation. And you know what the scariest part is. Sometimes that non-stop machine is the very reflection we see in the mirror. What about you? Out of these 10 types, which one are you most afraid of dealing with? Or be honest, did you flinch a little realizing you might be one of them? Let me know in the comments below.